Thank you all so much for having us. I was just telling Josh, this is such a warm and kind group of people, and I love coming here, and I just appreciate your interest in ClearPath and welcoming us in, and I feel like I'm friends with a lot of you, and that's just such a joy. I'm probably standing right in your way. We're going to go through an overview of ClearPath Healthcare, the transition from Hospice of Redmond to ClearPath, and then I'm going to share about our 3 main lines of service. We do a lot of other stuff too. And so at the end, Stephanie is also going to share about our fundraising efforts, ways that you can support us if you're interested in that. And then I want to keep it really informal, and we can do questions. And please interrupt me throughout if you have questions. I just feel like we're among friends here. Also, it feels a little funny to be presenting when Jane is the executive director of ClearPath. So, you're among the heartbeat behind our organization, honestly. So she could much better speak to all of this, but I'll do my best. My role is Community Engagement Manager, so that includes overseeing our marketing and outreach efforts, fundraising, our volunteer department, and our transitions department. So I'll share about those, but basically any department within ClearPath that is non-clinical that touches the community. So I'm not a clinician, but it's kind of like, it's important to me to be the mouthpiece for the organization, hopefully debunk myths, and educate our community members. And I have some experience in senior living administration and marketing and communications. And then Stephanie.
Hi, I also want to second Lauren and just thank you guys for having us. And I'm in Sisters Kiwanis, and I just love the group, and I love being part of Kiwanis, and thank you all for supporting me well for whoever came. But my title is Giving and Outreach Specialist, so I do everything donor related. I put out our impact letter for the first time this year, which is exciting. I'm currently writing our grants, and I oversee Festival of Trees. So for anyone who's been to Festival of Trees and supported or volunteered, thank you guys so much. It takes the whole community. And I work under Lauren, which is a lot of fun. I get to do outreach and collaborate a lot with Lauren on marketing and the donor aspect as well.
Yeah.
And I've been with nonprofits for over 5 years, and I also have a background in office management.
We're so lucky to have Stephanie. She joined our team almost a year ago exactly, and it's been amazing. So I'm going to share again an overview. So who we are. ClearPath Healthcare, we used to be called Hospice of Redmond. We are one of the oldest nonprofit hospices in the state, let alone almost the country. You know, hospices were a new concept in the late 70s, and we started in 1979. And so we're very proud to be one of the oldest hospice organizations. We have offered more than hospice service alone, and we've served more than the city limits of Redmond for decades. So the name Hospice of Redmond has always been a little bit of a challenge for people because they might live in Tumalo or Bend or Prineville, and they don't know that they could call us. All that being said, the new name was prompted by that, and then also the launch of our new in-home primary care service, which I'm going to talk about. But essentially, that's nothing to do with hospice, right? That's for people who just want their doctor to come to them. They could be perfectly well seeking curative treatment. But if we're called Hospice of Redmond and they want that, they're probably not going to call us, right? So the new line of service prompted the new name, but I would say, as the marketer who's been to all these other cities trying to promote Hospice of Redmond, we've needed the new name for a little while now. What's important is that people know, though, we're the same nonprofit. We have the same tax ID. We have the same leadership. We weren't bought out. Nothing in that regard has changed. We designed the logo. You know, it's a small team, and it remains small. But we needed a name which captures everything we do, and Hospice of Redmond just never captured that. So my hope is that in the next few years we can continue to re-educate the public about this new name. We weren't bought out, making sure people know we're still accessible to them. We're still doing hospice. So that's my hope as well with today. Yeah.
Ready?
Do you want to share about this one, Steph?
Yeah. So, why nonprofit? We hear this a lot, and don't you bill insurance? That's a question that's also common that we hear all the time. We do bill insurance for any clinical service. So hospice and primary care are both billed to insurance, including Medicare, Medicaid, and several others. And with those, extra payments come in. If we have a certain number of hospice patients we have to see to break even, anything above that is extra. And we're able to pour those extra back into the community. However, we still have a large gap between what we're able to pour in and what we offer. So transitions, Lauren will talk about, but it's completely free. We have Camp Sunrise, which I'll talk about later. It's a free program. Primary care, people are getting 45 to hour-minute appointments versus a shorter 15 to 20 minutes in a clinic. So there's a gap there. So there's a lot of gaps that we offer for community bereavement that fundraising then helps cover. And as a nonprofit, we're able to offer all of those to our community.
Okay, so again, we do a lot, but kind of the three main lines of service. We have our in-home primary care, where a provider comes to you, to your home, so you don't have to go in to see your doctor. A lot of people, they struggle to get out of the home. Maybe driving is a challenge. And so we are offering the service where a clinician goes into the home to see the patient. That's for anybody. It's built for people 55 and up who are homebound. That's what the program's built for. But again, you can be seeking curative treatment. It's nothing to do with hospice, right? This is just a service we're offering the community. So that's the in-home primary care. We have a transitions program, which is free non-medical case management and resource support for any adult in Central Oregon that has a serious illness. So any adult could have a serious illness, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's heart disease or kidney failure, things like that. We can have a liaison, an advocate, come to them in person monthly to support them as they navigate this diagnosis. It's completely free. It's a professional service, so these aren't volunteers coming in, but it's hired staff who really are resource navigators. And people can receive both support with transitions and the in-home primary care at the same time. So that's a lot of support in the home with no cost. And then hospice care, which is something that we've done for years and years. We haven't changed that. It's still the bread and butter really of what we do. And that's clinical end-of-life care in the home. ClearPath's building is not a hospice house. We go into homes all over all 3 counties. So to start, the in-home primary care, a couple challenges that we found and reasons why we launched this program. So Central Oregon is growing and aging, and there are fewer doctors available. I don't know if anybody else has had a challenge getting a new primary care provider, but it can be a challenge. Maybe you're pushed out a ways and you just need your doctor to see you soon. So that's been one of the reasons we launched the program. Challenges in senior community settings. You might not realize it, but even in senior communities, say somebody lives there and they're receiving medication management and support and all that they offer. They want to go to the doctor off-site, but maybe they need somebody to go with them. That community can't pull a caregiver off the floor. It'll mess up all their ratios. And so who's going to be that advocate and liaison and person listening in on the appointment unless they have a child or someone in their life that can be that person? It can be a real challenge for people just to go to the doctor and they're living in a community setting. Transportation isn't simple. Home care caregivers can also help with that. So if people are living in their own homes and they have a home caregiver that can take them to doctor's appointments, but it's also costly. So it's just complicated, and we find that this is a need not just in single family homes, but in community settings as well. And then challenges in traditional home settings. I mentioned driving. We have people we see who live far out in Crooked River Ranch who find it intimidating to drive in to see their doctor. That would be a reason to call us. And then caregivers, maybe it's a spouse situation where one person is caring for their spouse because maybe their spouse has dementia, and then it's such a challenge to get their spouse in to see their doctor, and then they themselves are like, when am I going to go see my doctor? I don't have time. How can I have to arrange for a caregiver to sit with my loved one so I can go take care of myself. It's just complicated, and there's a strong need in the community for this service. So our clinician, her name is Taylor Gar-Jones, and she's our primary care clinician, and she's a nurse practitioner. And so Taylor has a really strong background in geriatric care, hospice, long-term care, all of that. And she, along with our LPN, Helen, go together to people's homes. So it's pretty amazing. People are calling us, and we get their insurance, so it could be Medicaid, Medicare, private insurance. And then they set up the appointment for the admission. They go together to their homes, and they're spending in the admission, 90 minutes maybe for the admission for that patient in the home. And then furthermore, monthly, 45 minutes to hour-long visit, and that's in their home with their doctor. It's just really cool. And so they're going to Sisters, Prineville, Juniper Canyon. Like we're spread far. And so the program is growing. Of course, with this model, the capacity is different than a clinic where people are seeing, maybe their doctor sees 20 people a day in a clinic. They're averaging about 5 patients a day. Unless they're in a community setting, it might be a little more, but not much more. So again, we're across Deschutes, Jefferson, and Crook counties, long visits. We can help people with routine and chronic care management, access to specialists, support for labs and prescriptions, same-day visits for urgent needs. Just like if, I didn't feel well, I might call my primary care doctor to see if I could get in really quick. Same concept. Visits to you wherever you call home. This is not for people at the end of life. This is for anyone 55 and up who finds it difficult to physically get in to see their doctor. And there's no membership fee. It's 100% insurance billable. This is kind of unheard of. We actually modeled this program to have a membership fee because that's what penciled out at the time. But we're a nonprofit. We're able to write grants. We've received donations to make this possible. And so this is accessible care in the home for a lot of people. I already mentioned how we designed the program. We eliminated the fee, and we're growing. So the goal is to duplicate this model and not say no to people when they call us for help. So Jane has already been looking at what does this look like? It's growing at a really steady rate. Do we hire another nurse practitioner and another LPN and model the efforts? And I believe that's the plan. Okay, transitions. This is that resource support program. So it's free case management and resource support. Again, you just need some kind of serious diagnosis to qualify for this program. So not everyone on primary care could also need this. But this is a program for people who aren't yet ready for hospice. Or maybe they qualify for hospice, but they're emotionally not ready to cease curative treatment and go onto hospice service. So this is specialized support. It's essentially making sure people are visited monthly, eyes on. It's for any adult. And then clients can be on transition services for years. There isn't a time limit to this. And so it's a really nice transition process as we go from in-home primary care transitions to hospice. And I have some examples of what transitions looks like because it's kind of difficult to define, right? Resource support and case management. So we can help clients understand their illness and ease feelings of isolation. Sometimes the visits are just personable visits by a trusted person in the industry. We can arrange for respite care, help veterans navigate their benefits. We have helped veterans receive, I want to say $75,000 in back pay from the VA in the last year and a half. I might be off there by $5,000 or so, but isn't that incredible? And they had access to it, they just didn't know how to get it. Like, we help with the red tape and the phone calls, and we're that advocate, right? Acting as a liaison for people who live in a senior community setting, navigating and connecting with community resources, linking up with volunteers. We can offer transitions clients a volunteer to visit them. Even our chaplain can support our transitions clients. helping them understand home health, home care, rehabilitation, what's the difference, when do I need what, helping with durable medical equipment, advanced directives, POA documents, downsizing, fiduciary support. It goes on and on. So it kind of gives you an idea. It's very varied. Okay. Any questions so far?
I just wondered about Lebien, do they do lab work in the home once they
Yes.
pick it up? The admission, after the admission, they
Yes.
know what to bring.
Yep, we have all the lab equipment. That's for the primary care. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
In home primary care, prevention of cancer and organ failure. What if they have like
I don't know if I fully heard your question. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, how's that?
Great.
Okay, in-home primary care, you cover cancer and organ failure. What if a person has like a bad hip that doesn't allow them to get to the doctor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, that would be totally appropriate for in-home primary care. And it could just be the bad hip alone is the reason it's so difficult. And that's appropriate to call in-home primary care.
I just know why she's going to getting down the stairs and to the wheelchair. It's a real hassle.
Yes. Yeah. We'd be honored to help. Yeah, I kind of look at it like, we are not trying to, this model is not trying to see people that are already going to the clinic. This is for people who are having a difficult time and it's preventing them from going to the doctor. That's what we're trying to help with that group of people. So if it's for any reason, if you're 55 and older and you can't get to see a clinic, you can't go in to see a clinician, we want to bring one to you. Yeah, well said. Yeah. Yes.
So, because I have aging parents, they don't live in this area, they're over in the valley, but do most Redmond Hospice, do most hospice places have this primary care and the transition care, or is that just kind of specific to you guys?
I mean, Jane can speak more to it. I would say no, but I would say no also, but there are some. And so ask me because I know one in Portland, I know one in Salem that are also nonprofits that also do in-home primary care.
Okay, yeah.
But there's not a lot of them.
Yeah, they're in Newburgh, and they kind of fall in this black hole of getting support. So, okay, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Okay, so now I'll share about hospice, and then Stephanie's going to talk about events, festival, all the fun stuff. So hospice is for wherever a patient calls home. A lot of people think that you have to go somewhere to receive hospice care, and we come to patients, just like all of our other services. The focus for a hospice patient, it shifts from finding a cure for their illness to being comfortable. So it's about quality of life over quantity of days. And sometimes people aren't ready to make that choice, and that's okay. But if they are ready and they qualify, this is a beautiful service that comes to them. ClearPath does not have a hospice house. The focus is on comfort and quality of life. Studies show that the earlier a decision is made for somebody to come on to hospice, should they qualify, the better their outcomes are. So there's a lot of myths out there about hospice just being for the last couple days of life. And I think it's a real shame because when people are getting all the care that they need brought to them and they're comfortable, they tend to actually live longer. And then we want to honor people's wishes. So just like any other clinical setting, the patient has rights to make their choices. And so that's what we're doing. We're honoring their final chapter with medical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual support. Yeah.
So at least at a high level, what is the criteria to qualify for hospice?
Some kind of serious illness that would limit someone's life expectancy where their clinician would look at their chart and say, you know, if this person passes away in 6 months or less without any curative treatment, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, people can live much longer than that 6 months. In fact, many, many do. But that is the criteria. So some kind of serious diagnosis with that type of timeline. Okay, a couple other things I want to make sure to share. Patients on hospice can change their mind. That's a choice they have. Hospice support is available to patients as long as they're eligible. So again, that 6 months or less, we can recertify people. And so no one has a crystal ball, you know, we don't know. And so I think sometimes people think, oh, if I call now, what if I use up that Medicare benefit and then it's all gone? That's not how it works. Hospice provides services to the patient's family and caregivers and support system as well as the patient, so it's very holistic. This includes social work to help the family navigate this season of life. There's so much more to it than just clinical support. A quick overview of what the hospice team looks like. This is a team of people coming into the patient's home. That's a hospice medical director, a nurse case manager who oversees like this patient and maybe like 10 others, and so they really know this patient really well. A CNA, a chaplain, a social worker assigned to them. Bereavement support for the family, especially following that patient's death. That bereavement support lasts 13 months, I want to say. And a volunteer even is included in this. Again, we can support people wherever they live, including a nursing home or a facility. We go there all the time. That's very normal. It's not just for the very end. Not all hospices are the same. I've heard people say, oh, you work in hospice. Do you know my sister, she works in hospice in Portland. It's like, that's just not how it works, you know. We're blessed to have a handful of hospices in Central Oregon. They differ, like you had asked about the primary care. We're unique to that. And different organizations offer different things. And so, you know, if you are seeking support for a loved one, ask the questions, kind of dive into it a little bit, because it's an important decision. I want to mention about the nonprofit aspect. So back in the late 70s, when hospices first began, only 5% of hospices were for-profit. So most were nonprofit. Now 75% are for-profit models. And I think that that number is going to keep growing. And it is a shame because we have all this extra funding that we can pour into free community programs that stays local. But as the for-profit model grows, that's not available, right? They're just pocketing that. So I like to mention that just so you know, because people don't know. Hospice is not the same as home health or home care. This is probably a whole nother presentation, but it's important to know that it's different. Yeah, it's a whole nother presentation. Okay. And then, do you want to share the rest of this, how it's paid for?
Yeah,
okay.
So hospice is covered by Medicare, Medicaid, and other insurances. However, not all insurance Medicare does, but other insurances may not cover hospice. And so donations help fund our hospice program. As we were saying, that those extra patients help fund that program. And because we're a nonprofit, we can say yes to everybody who needs hospice. So if somebody doesn't have the ability to pay for hospice, it's not something we would ever turn somebody away for that. We have the privilege of saying yes. And then, as Lauren just covered, there are lots of paths at ClearPath Healthcare. So the primary care for anyone over 55, transitions for anyone with a serious illness, and then hospice. We have several other programs at ClearPath, which is really great and just a really fun thing that we get to offer as a nonprofit. So we have free community grief support. You do not have to have had a loved one on our hospice. This is for anyone in our community who's experiencing the death of a loved one. And that takes place the second and fourth Tuesdays at ClearPath Healthcare currently. I think that the plan is to stay there, but who knows what space looks like. And then we offer Camp Sunrise, which is our longest running overnight camp here in Central Oregon. It's a 3-day, 2-night camp, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And it's for kiddos, so it's a children's grief camp. We have a veterans program called Serving Those Who Served. This program is pretty robust for a veterans outreach program. We do everything from pinnings for individuals who are on hospice or a veteran, to vet-to-vet cafes where veteran volunteers go into senior living communities and meet with other veterans to ensure that they don't feel alone and isolated. We have a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event. It's really a robust program for veterans. And we have a Pet Peace of Mind program, so it's no-cost support to individuals who are on hospice to ensure that they don't have to worry about their dog or cat or have to feel the need to get rid of them or anything. We have volunteers who are trained to care for that pet once the loved one or once the hospice patient passes. So there are a lot of ways to support ClearPath Healthcare. The first is to volunteer your time. You can do that through hospice patient volunteers. You can volunteer at an event. I know several of you have done that. I mean, thank you so much. You can volunteer to help answer phones. So there's lots of opportunities. It doesn't have to be something consistent and ongoing. It's really, there's a lot of opportunities. So if you feel called to volunteer, please, we always need volunteers. You can provide an in-kind donation. So we have, as we said, we have lots of events. Festival of Trees is our largest event. And we have lots of opportunities from our Buy It Now table to a silent auction. So if you have an in-kind donation that you want to donate, we accept those year round. We also have our veterans events and other things that we've used those for. Donate financially as a nonprofit. That's what I'm here for, is the donor relations, and financially donating helps our nonprofit keep going and keep giving back. You can attend an event or tell your friends about our events. It's a great way to show support. And then you can also advocate and share. So if you have a loved one who needs our support, share with them what we do and what we offer. Festival of Trees. How many of you have been to Festival of Trees? Maybe after this year we'll see more hands. So this is our signature fundraising event. It's really fun. It's always the first weekend in December. This year happens to be Saturday, December 5th. We have kind of two parts to Festival of Trees. So we have the free daytime event, and it's a family-friendly event. It's from 10 to 1, and it's an opportunity to come and view the trees that are going to be auctioned off in the evening. And they're beautiful, they're fully decorated, some comes with gifts, some don't. We also have a kids crafts area, which we're bringing back. We have Santa, cookies, a marketing table, so here's our team there telling about ClearPath Healthcare, but it's just a really cool opportunity to come and do something during the winter that's indoors. And then we have the evening gala, which is at 5 p.m., and this is your traditional fundraiser gala. We have a silent auction, a live auction, we play games. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. You can join us by becoming a sponsor, so there are sponsorships available starting at $500. If you love Christmas, you can decorate a tree that can be auctioned off. We're always looking for tree decorators. We're also always looking for volunteers to help make the fairgrounds, because it's at the fairgrounds, just a beautiful winter wonderland that takes a whole team and a lot of manpower. So if you'd like to decorate, come see me. You can also attend and bring friends and family, or again, you can donate a gift basket, an experience, a gift card, really anything that would go in a silent auction. Camp Sunrise. This is our grief camp for kids, and as I said, it's the longest running overnight camp here in Central Oregon. It's 3 days and 2 nights, and it provides a place for grieving kids who have experienced the death of a loved one, whether that's a grandparent, a parent, a sibling, a friend, an animal, really anyone. It doesn't have to be a specific type of grief, but they're welcome to come, and it's professionally staffed. Our volunteers are well trained, and then it's all based on art, music, and movement therapy. So it's a really cool experience. Again, this program is, it takes a lot to run, and we have such a great team of volunteers, but if you feel called to give back to children, then it's a great way to volunteer your time, and you really see the healing. I went for the first time this year, and I left just being like, it's so incredible, and it's hard to even describe until you see it. But you truly see kids being kids after they've lost a parent or sibling, and then you also see the healing happen through tears and through talking about it. So it's incredible. Camp Sunrise is free, so it's funded through grants, through local service organizations like Kiwanis, through donations, and we're always looking for funding for that. Any questions?
If a hospice patient asks about assisted suicide, how do you handle that?
Our social workers will pair them with that resource. It's a third party, and so we're not involved in that process, but it is a legal option, and as a healthcare organization, we provide the legal option to the patient, but we're not involved in it, if that makes sense. Did I answer that well, Jane?
Yeah, I would say there's a partner that we refer to quite a bit called End of Life Choices Oregon that really talks about the legalities, provides a volunteer, and helps walk someone through that piece of it. That's not what our role is. Our role is to attend to a death just like we always do and support a patient that is dying, whether that be through assisted suicide or whether that be through just the natural means. So we're there regardless, but we have a third party that will come in and help with all of those choices if that's what someone makes, the choice that they want. Does that help?
Yeah. Patients get attached to their doctors. Hospice patients are attached to their doctors. And even though you're not seeking care, you might want to see your oncologist anyway. I mean, can you go and they can see how they're doing, things like that.
Can a hospice patient see their oncologist?
Yeah.
I believe the answer is yes.
Yeah,
It's not overly common.
The doctor can stay involved. The only issue is, and it's a little bit sticky, is that Medicare is pretty specific. That Medicare won't pay for hospice care and curative care at the same time. And so that's...
How about paying for $40
Yeah, it's the same just across the board, is that Medicare gets pretty sticky about what they choose to pay for. And so if you're on hospice, then they get sticky about you also seeking curative care. So we have to be careful about that part. But if you have usually a primary care physician that wants to be involved and you want them involved, we absolutely honor that and we provide them regular updates. So there's no cutting off of communication, but the payer sources get a little sticky about it. I also want to add too that even though we are not a hospice house, we have access to a hospice house. We have a contract with the hospice house. It's a community hospice house that Partners in Care has, and we have the same ability to use it as they do. So, yeah. Yes?
What are some of the volunteer opportunities that you try to make?
Yeah, the volunteer opportunities really vary. We have volunteers who want to build relationships with hospice patients, and so we certainly have that need. We have volunteers who support with administrative tasks in the office, where they build packets for us to distribute for marketing, or they'll answer phones like Stephanie mentioned. We have veteran volunteers who lead groups at senior communities. We have pet handlers who bring their dogs to Camp Sunrise so the kids can cuddle with the dogs. The event volunteers, Festival of Trees is a lot of different volunteers. Do you want to share?
Yeah, so for event-wise, we have opportunities, anything from driving a U-Haul truck and helping us pick up trees, deliver to the fairgrounds, and then deliver vice versa. Helping load and unload things, maybe going and picking up food for our volunteers. We like to, Jane loves feeding our staff, and we love to feed our people, our volunteers. So picking up food to ensure we feed people, which I appreciate. You can help with decorate. You can do everything from zip tying trees together at festival trees. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Camp Sunrise, there's a lot of helping kids paint, helping glue things on, a lot of various tasks.
If you want to be an overnight cabin counselor, call us. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Barb.
Well, and just FYI to everybody, we have a line item in our budget to support Camp Sunrise that we have been giving for the last several years. So, and that's just been something that's been really fun. Thank you.
First of all, thank you guys. I think it's an incredible service that a lot of people still don't know about yet. One of the questions I had about the in-home care situation, to use a hip example, and the patient needs help until they're rehabbed, are they able to keep the provider once they're capable of getting to their doctor now, or are they then discharged, so to speak? And then the second part of that is, if you do an in-home care and they need a specialist or an x-ray, are you able to help with transportation, or Uber, or something else that helps them do that?
Do you want to answer that? Sure, yeah. So first part of your question, that's, completely if they rehab and they then get to the clinic, or that's perfectly fine, whatever they want to do there, we're able to support that.
Can they maintain the provider?
Yes.
So, even if they're more capable?
And then the second part of that, helping with transportation, we have not been doing that because as a nonprofit, that's pretty hard for us to do, to pay for transportation. We don't have that as a budget item now. I'd love to have that in the future. If that works out, then maybe we could help do something through that, like transitions. And then I missed something. Nope, that was it?
I think that, no, that's it.
Okay.
How do you, explain how you select or the kids that go to Camp Sunrise get chosen or matched up with that program?
Yeah, we get a lot of different referrals from school counselors, Family Access Network, different organizations that work with kids. I think we're trying to grow the awareness about camp as well. It's been 28 years of Camp Sunrise, but also counselors retire, we need to make sure people know about it. Sometimes family members of those children or the ward, they'll call our office, and then our bereavement coordinator will interview the families, make sure it's the right fit. Very rarely would we turn down a child to attend camp. So it's really interesting. I feel like we get just a lot of kids from all over all 3 counties. And to be honest, it's a lot of big loss. Like it's these kids really, they need help. And so hearing their stories, I'm digressing, I'm sorry, that's not answering your question. Does that answer your question? Okay, okay. No, I just, one other thing we didn't say was camp brings kids with similar experiences together. And you see them go, oh, you lost your dad too? I'm not the only one. It's amazing. And we get repeat campers. I had a cabin of 6 11-year-olds, and 4 of them had been to camp before, and they knew each other. So it's pretty cool. Anyway. Yeah.
A silly question. Before the picture of the kids fishing, apparently, there's a picture of all these children around a dog. Can you identify the dog breed? He is enormous.
He's a Mastiff. Mastiff. Yeah, and super sweet. Yeah.
But he looks like he's having a wonderful time.
Yeah, he's getting the love. And these kids aren't fishing. They're actually, we do memory boats. And so they will create like a natural boat out of bark and flowers and seeds, and sometimes they'll take and write their loved ones letters, and then we release them into the water.
Oh, or symbolic of fishing.
Yeah.
It looks like a fishing pole.
Yeah. No, it does. But it's because they have to push them away from the bank. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Barb takes a picture.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, then. And we can remember
Thank
who you
you.
all are. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.